I'm Kat.
And I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy.
A tipsy night class teaching the oddities and curiosities you never learned in school.
Where are you taking us for this learning journey, Hayley?
I will be taking us down a learning journey about a rocket man.
The Rocket Man?
Who's the Rocket Man?
Elton John?
No, not Elton John. Unfortunately, add that to the lesson list.
So, an astronaut.
No.
Elon.
Let me say this. This is a person that JSTOR, so a credible source, describes as a sex cult rocket man.
Okay.
So not an astronaut.
So this is not at all where I thought it was going to go.
I don't think so. I needed to set the tone because you were getting way too pure, I think. You need to go the other way.
I thought we were going to outer space, and you know how I feel about outer space.
You hate it.
I hate it. I don't want to hear about it. So
Your eyes glaze
I'm relieved.
over.
Yeah, I was about to take a 30-minute long nap while you...
Yes. And mine, oh my gosh, I have a long lesson today.
Okay.
It might be 2 parts, just depending on where we get with things.
That's fine. Mine's pretty short.
Hey,
not complicated.
Shorty. Well, what are you teaching us?
I will be telling you the strange story and like lore behind a very popular toy from the 80s. I never really understood why they were popular. I never wanted one.
A Furby?
No, not a Furby.
Furbies.
I understand the hype
troll
for Furbies.
doll.
I also understand the hype for troll dolls.
Their little butt cheeks.
Those are cool. I'll just tell you since it'll be in the title anyway, but we're going to talk about Cabbage Patch dolls.
Oh.
Yeah. Did you ever have one?
Yes, I did have one. And they have, and also their butts are kind of cute too.
I think they're gross. And they're signed by the designer.
They're signed. They've got little tramp stamps.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't like them.
I think it's wonderful.
They always kind of grossed me out. I
don't know the story of Cabbage Patch dolls, but I know that there is a story with them. So
yes, there are multiple.
Super pumped.
It's much stranger. I mean, I guess with how they look, you can kind of guess that there's something there, but
I always felt like they were too innocent for me. I wanted to play with Bratz dolls.
Yeah, I wanted a pretty doll. I didn't want an ugly baby.
Yeah.
Give me the Barbies, give me the Bratz, Polly Pocket. Nobody wants a baby doll in a 1998 when I had dolls. I had a Raggedy Ann doll. That was a good doll.
Those are kind of cute.
It was like, she's not trying to be a baby doll. She's red hair. She's a stuffed animal.
Yeah. She's crazy. She's a clown. She's literally clowning.
That's true. She is a clown.
She's crazy.
She is kind of scary, probably because of Annabelle.
Yeah. For the longest time, I didn't know Annabelle was Raggedy Ann.
Yeah. If you're innocent to Annabelle, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I had one when I was a baby too.
Oh, I miss being a baby.
Oh my God, me too.
I would be a baby so hard right now.
I will be one of those adults whose fetish is being a baby, just so I can be a baby.
Well, you're an adult now,
That's
so
true.
The time is nigh.
Yeah, I wasn't born with that inclination, but if I were, it would be a good one to have.
You could lean into it super easily. It would come naturally.
I know. I
think.
just want to sleep.
I'm one step
feed me
away.
Applesauce in bed. Maybe I just want to be old.
I do. Yeah, as much as you complain and are scared to turn 30, it's also one step closer to being like truly old.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel more okay about being 30 because I see people in their like late 30s on TikTok and I'm like, wow, they look younger than me somehow. Probably Botox and filters is what does that. But it's starting to make me feel like I should be doing.
I think this is the year I get Botox. If you want to come on a Botox date
I'm
with me.
interested. I'm not interested in spending the money, but I am interested in the outcome.
I was listening to a podcast, Camp Counselors Podcast. Shout out. I absolutely love it. And Jonathan and Zachariah were talking about, they live in New York, and there's a place that's like kind of like fast food, but it's Botox. And you can essentially walk in and it's a flat rate. For whatever amount that you get, it's a flat rate. So they paid like, I think he said $325.
Okay.
And have their whole, like all the little areas in their face done.
And we trust this process?
Yes, I do anyway.
Okay. That's worth it because you get it, what, like once a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, it's an extra car payment.
I'm
Okay.
sold. I just have to work like a couple Saturday tutorings and I have my Botox.
There you go.
You know what? I'm down.
Okay.
Let's do it. I'm completely in.
Botox party.
Botox. Have you seen the videos of, and this is filler. I don't think I would do filler, but the face balancing videos on TikTok?
No, I haven't. It sounds scary though.
It's like where they inject filler into your faces to essentially like kind of make it more symmetrical. And it's very interesting.
Yeah, I want to keep what I've got.
Yeah.
I just want to like slow down time just a little bit.
Just want to look refreshed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And wrinkle free. I want to look like a Cabbage Patch Kid's ass.
We've been out of school for a week and I came back today and my students, like all they talked about today was mewing. Like speaking of Botox, like, you know, where you press your tongue on the roof of your mouth so your face looks slimmer. And like all day they were just mewing all day. These 13-year-olds.
Maybe that's the way to do it though, if you start early enough.
Yeah, I think they're training their faces.
By the time they're 35.
They won't need Botox. They just mew. And I asked them, I was like, do you only do it for pictures or do you do it all the time? All the time. We do it all the time. It's called looks maxing.
Exhausting. That sounds so exhausting. Like I already am so... I'm conscious enough of myself. I don't need to add mewing.
I mew for pictures for sure.
I know you do. I know
Can you tell?
do. Yeah, and you've talked about it.
Yeah. It really does work.
Yeah, it does.
Get that snatched jawline.
I got to start my gua sha again. Gua sha. I don't know how to say it.
I did it for a long time, and this is probably just like correlation is not causation, but my lymph nodes got really swollen and like hurt after a while.
That's
weird. And I think I was probably just sick, but I got scared that it was the gua sha and like all the fluids in my face were leaking into my lymph nodes and they were just collecting.
Well, you've got to remember to like drain, like get them opened up here.
I don't know how to do that.
Collarbones. Yeah, well, it probably was all gathering in here if you weren't draining your lymph nodes.
Is that even real?
And there was a period of like 36 months where you were sick, so that could have been it too.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of long COVID.
You drain your lymph nodes?
Yeah.
What?
So you like massage right here on your collarbones.
But your lymph nodes are up here.
I know, but they drain down through here.
Oh.
Your lymph nodes are up here. So
and
you start
move
here
it by doing your lower neck.
If you would let me talk. Okay, so you open up the flow of it because your lymph nodes are also here in your armpits and it circulates in like your core, right? Like in your fluids get flushed out in your kidneys. Right. Okay. So I don't even know if that's accurate, but I do know this is what I've learned. You massage your like collarbones right here, and then you open, massage your lymph nodes, and then you start doing your gua sha. You go down and you bring it all the way down here, and you got to open up around your nose too. Got to open up all the pathways so the fluid has somewhere to go and doesn't get stuck in here.
I was too lazy for that part, and I was just like carving out my cheekbones with the gua sha. And maybe
you start wearing turtlenecks all the time.
I need to like learn from someone who actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I guess I do too, but that's what I've heard.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Maybe I'll attempt it again.
Yeah, I will too. Oh, before I forget, I do want to make an announcement and acknowledge. So we made a videogram of not last episode, but 2 episodes ago where it was my lesson on Dr. Barry. And the videogram was of the part of the lesson where we find out that Dr. Barry was born female. And in that section of the videogram, we said something like she was a doctor. And somebody commented on Instagram and was like, weren't they like a historical trans person? And yes, we referred to Dr. Barry as him, he for the rest of the episode. We definitely should have there as well, although there is speculation as to why Dr. Barry lived as a man. I think it's pretty safe to say it's just because he identified as a man. I don't think that he went to the lengths just because it was easier to be a doctor. I think that he was simply a trans person. So I wanted to acknowledge that and thank you to the person that commented. It is always helpful to continue learning and having dialogue about our lessons.
Yeah, and I think you made that clear in the lesson. At least
hope so.
I thought so, and it was just a quick video clip. But I'm glad you
it's hard in
cleared it
the
up.
videograms too, but I wanted to acknowledge it.
Thank y'all.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I actually felt bad editing it because I was like, this takes Hayley's whole lesson out of context. And I just knew someone was going to say
False
something. Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
The number of times we get yelled at for like quote unquote lying or sharing false information in videograms when it's because it's just like
It's just a
little
section of it.
piece of an hour-long lesson, which I understand. I don't like when people say false things either, but
The thing that shocks
just
me
a
the
little
most
bit.
is when people do comment at all. I can't imagine commenting on a post.
that's true.
I'm like, wow, you're so brave.
Some people just like to fight.
Yeah, they do.
And
they need
honestly,
something.
please fight in video comments rather than in real life. I think that's the pathway to world peace.
Oh, yeah, I will pass out so fast to a physical fight.
Yeah, just keep it in the comments and we're all good. I don't even look at the comments anymore. Sorry.
Yeah, I usually don't, but then I saw that one. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
today's the day.
Fair. Well, thank you for that clarification. Do we have anything else before we get no?
Not
all right.
I.
Then let's get started. So, oh shit. Okay.
I don't know how to pronounce this.
Okay. Well, his name is
I was right.
It was like firing a gun to start a race. And it just like,
so how
For
do you,
today's learning journey, I'll be shitting the bed.
I think his name is Xavier, but sometimes people say Xavier.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Xavier because that's the pronunciation I've heard most often.
I didn't hear Xavier until I moved to Memphis. I was like
Yeah.
21 when
Yeah.
I heard it that way for the first time.
I think now, I think maybe the more modern way to say it is Xavier, but this guy was born in 1955, so I'm thinking it's probably Xavier.
Probably.
Anyway, Xavier Roberts was born in 1955 in Cleveland, Georgia, which is a small town in the Appalachian foothills. When he was 5, his father died in a car accident, and that left his mother to raise Xavier and his 5 siblings. From a very young age, Xavier was a talented artist, and he pursued his talent studying art at Truett McConnell Junior College. It was during his studies here where, at 21 years old, he met Kentucky folk artist Martha Nelson. And Martha did a kind of art called needle molding. It's a pretty obscure art form. Like if you Google needle molding, it's really hard to find any images or information of what this actually is. It's basically a way to sculpt fabric. I don't know if I already said this, but it comes from Germany from the early 1800s, and she would use this method of sculpting fabric to create plush dolls, which she called doll babies, and she sold these at craft fairs. The dolls had squishy, round faces, and she would use the needle molding to carve their noses and give them little dimples, little lips.
Is it like when people shape felt and like push
Kind
needles
of.
into it?
I think kind of.
Okay.
I mean, if you visualize like a fabric doll where its nose is like shaped out of the fabric,
Yeah.
kind of like what it is. She really, really cared about her creations and treated the selling process like an adoption. If you bought one of her dolls, they came with little adoption papers and little birth certificates. It's kind of giving Build-A-Bear to me.
Yeah. I really like that. And I liked things like that as a kid because
Same.
you know me. I used to want to have so many children. I wanted it to be real.
Yeah.
At 7 years old, I was ready.
I never wanted to adopt children, but I loved the idea of adopting animals, which is why I was fucking obsessed with Build-A-Bear.
And Webkins.
Oh my God, Webkins. Love.
I should get a Webkins.
You should.
We should get Webkins.
You know what you should actually do is play Stardew Valley with me and we can make a little co-op farm because it's basically Webkins, but better.
Is Stardew Valley better than Animal Crossing?
I think so.
Okay.
I know.
I just can't really get into Animal Crossing.
People go hard for Animal Crossing. There's a lot more to do in the Stardew Valley universe, and it's also less about decorating, which
actually I might need
you can
to
still like decorate your farm, but it's not like I feel like Animal Crossing, the whole point is to like decorate your little city. There's like less emphasis on that in Stardew. I don't know. I think it's fun.
Give it a try.
Okay. So she's making these dolls, and she loves them so much. They're so important to her that at her eventual funeral, her favorite dolls had front row seats. These are like her children.
Oh, okay.
So meanwhile, Xavier goes to a craft fair. He sees Martha's art, and it really appeals to him because Xavier is a sculptor and a quilter. So Martha's art form is combining his two favorite artistic mediums. He loves it. He asks her to teach him how. Not only does he love her art, but he also sees her vision.
Oh.
He sees profit from this.
Money, money, money.
Exactly. And I don't know if that's like how it started, but it definitely turned into that. He completes a mentorship with Martha. She teaches him the process of making the dolls. And after
teaches him the process of making babies.
I don't know if there was ever any real.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they shacked up.
No, I think Martha was quite a bit older than him. Not that would stops everyone, but I think she was definitely more of not a mother figure. He had a mother, but a mentor figure.
A mom, more of a mommy figure.
Sure. His mentorship ends, and he asks her if he could take some of these doll babies back home to Georgia and sell them. She agrees, but eventually, he just keeps asking her for more and more, and she's like, enough already. I think she wasn't really in it for the money. She just enjoyed making them and finding them homes, and he's wanting to sell a lot of them. So she asks him to stop. So what does Xavier do? He
makes his own.
Yep. He starts making his own dolls, which he calls little people. And these little people shared many similarities to Martha's dolls, including their puffy faces, the whole adoption process, and the birth certificates. And as far as I could tell, Martha was the first person, at least that's recorded in popular media, to create a toy in this style, this adoption style. Now it's become a pretty popular thing where a lot of toys come with a little birth certificate or whatever, but this seems like one of the first, if not the first time. So he completely takes this idea and he sells his own dolls at craft fairs. He becomes so successful doing this that eventually he's able to open his own store. A normal store, though, does not cut it. He purchases a former medical clinic.
A hospital.
A hospital.
He sets up a huge plush vagina.
It's a birthing
where the babies
center.
Come out.
Haley, it's literally a birthing center.
My God.
He calls it Babyland General Hospital. And this is where the dolls are born.
That's kind of cute.
Yeah, it's actually pretty awesome. If they weren't so ugly, I'd be a lot more into it.
These babies need to be more attractive.
I agree. I just don't like baby dolls. They're not pretty enough. I want my dolls to have makeup and long hair.
Lashes.
Yeah, they need lashes.
Their nails done.
They need a mini skirt. I'm not into this baby shit.
They were on the right track, though, with the tramp stamp.
They were heading in the right direction. Unfortunately, it's on a baby. He does have to change the name of the dolls since Fisher-Price already had a line of dolls called Little People. They kind of go after him. So he changes the name to Cabbage Patch Kids.
Where the hell did he come up with that?
Well, he comes up with this whole lore around the dolls and an origin story, if you will. And the Cabbage Patch name comes from this story. And the story is told in 4 chapters. I'm going to summarize it for you. In chapter 1, a little boy named Xavier Roberts, himself, is playing in the woods near his home when he's visited by a bunny bee. This is
a bunny bee.
It's a creature that looks like a bunny but flies and buzzes like a bee. And Xavier follows it to a waterfall. Then the bunny bee flies under it and kind of beckons him to follow it. In chapter 2, Xavier travels through the waterfall to a hidden cave full of beautiful, sparkling crystals in all shapes and sizes.
It sounds like he is in a fae trap hard.
Oh, yeah. Total fae trap. This is not a story to adhere to in real life. Don't follow a fairy into a cave.
The bee. Do not investigate the spindles of grass gyrating in a circle.
Don't cross the threshold. Xavier does, though. He continues following the bunny bee through this crystal cave. In chapter 3, Xavier follows the bunny bee, and then they come up to like a wall of vines, and he has, I think, like a knife in his pocket or a rock or something. He cuts his way through the vines and finds he's back outside in the sunlight, only he's in a different world now. There's bunny bees flying all over the sky, and they have crushed up the magic crystals from the cave into a dust, and they're
snorting it.
They're sprinkling the crystal dust onto a field of cabbages. He looks closer, and the cabbage field is full of babies and small children.
Nightmare. Pure nightmare fuel. I would be so happy if it was like margaritas.
Oh my God.
Or glasses of wine.
Margaritas,
quesadillas.
Tacos, oh my God, chips. It's just a Chipotle.
Why does it... Or Taco Bell.
Oh my God.
Olive Garden.
Not the same tier.
Okay.
It's okay.
I'm just saying.
It's pretty good.
Breadsticks. How about the breadsticks?
Yeah, I won't lie. Olive Garden
Cheesecake
is
Factory.
Really good.
Have you still
Okay.
not been to a Cheesecake Factory?
What? Are you kidding me?
That
was
love
me. That was me.
Cheesecake
Okay.
Factory.
Okay.
Alec, have you been to a Cheesecake Factory?
No.
Yeah,
Didn't
we need to do
get
a field
Cheesecake
trip.
Factory takeout at some point?
We got takeout, but I've never dined in.
Okay.
It's different.
It's so good.
Yeah.
The freaking avocado egg rolls.
Everything. You can't go wrong. Literally everything.
Yeah.
What percentage of the population has had everything on their menu? Because I think that is a true,
I'm sure there are diehard
like, bragging rights.
Cheesecake Factory fans who have.
Yeah.
But imagine how expensive that would be. It's expensive.
Yeah, it's a humble brag.
It's
for you
like
to be like,
$30 an entree at fucking Cheesecake Factory. That's not okay.
How many days would you have to go? How many meals would it even be? I wonder.
Oh my God.
I would love to know.
And one meal is like 8,000 calories. You'd have to go for like your one meal of the day unless you wanted to be super ill.
I would do it. I would be ill for it.
That's true. It is really good.
And the bread. I mean, just the bread, the
the brown bread.
Quality of their food.
You know
Anyway,
what I've been wanting lately?
Brussels sprouts.
What?
I'm just thinking of
Why?
Cabbage Patch Kids.
Oh.
Because Brussels sprouts, fried, air fried.
I
with
do
some
like
oil
Brussels
and vinegar,
sprouts.
salt and pepper.
Some vinegar. You put vinegar on your Brussels sprouts?
Yeah, so good.
Balsamic?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was picturing like
Some white
red
vinegar.
vinegar. Yes. Ew. No, that sounds good. What was I saying? Oh yeah. I want Texas Roadhouse cinnamon butter on a roll.
So good.
Okay. We're hungry.
We're just that's what it is every week now. I've been cooking up a storm in the ice storm too.
We weren't, because our HelloFresh never came. Because
Neither was ours. So I made everything by hand. I made pasta from scratch.
Nice.
I made those brownies from scratch. I made pancakes from scratch because we didn't have any mix.
Look at you.
Just a lot of carbs, but it was so good.
You're like a colonial woman.
Living
Who
my
mixes
true
their
dream.
own pancakes?
My own Alfredo sauce.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were doing it.
I know.
We were cooking too, but we were running a little low on ingredients.
You were heating up
we were
mozzarella
making do with
sticks.
what we had. Yeah, pretty much.
Mixing a hot sauce with sour cream and calling it a night.
let's see. So he sees the bunny bees doing this, and then he's like, what the fuck is going on? There's babies everywhere. In chapter 4, one of the children walks up to him. His name is Otis Lee, and he explains that he's a Cabbage Patch Kid and that the bunny bees sprinkle the magic crystal dust on the Cabbage Patch, and that causes Cabbage Patch Kids to be born from the cabbage.
I'm born from the cabbage.
I don't know why a cabbage.
Because their heads, it's just like if you shuck off the outer layers of a cabbage, it's shaped like a cabbage, right? That's why.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Like it already looks like there's a baby head in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
That makes sense.
What would be another good, like cauliflower?
Yeah, or just something that tastier than a cabbage.
Cauliflower kids. It's like Chernobyl.
Their ears all look like they've been
Wrestlers. Yeah, they've got wrestler ears.
I don't know. I think like of a fruit. Like wouldn't like apple
banana
kids
babies
or banana babies be
That's
cuter?
cute.
I don't. Cabbage just seems like a weird choice, but this is what he did. The Otis asked Xavier if he could help find all the Cabbage Patch Kids and babies' homes. So Xavier agrees. He tells him he's going to build Babyland General Hospital, where the Cabbage Patch Kids and babies can live until their new parents come to adopt them.
Babies, 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 babies. Do you know that song by Natasha Bedingfield?
No. Can you
She's
sing the whole thing for me?
Well, that's basically it. Essentially, she just is like wanting to get it on with every man that she meets and have babies.
Oh.
It's very interesting. Not your typical Natasha Bedingfield song.
Yeah. All
It's
I
good.
know is Pocket Full of Sunshine. Is that
That's the
her?
only other one I can name. Yeah,
Okay.
that's her.
That's where my Natasha Bedingfield knowledge starts and ends.
It's a good destination.
I got a pocket full of sunshine. I got love and I know that he's all mine. Oh, wow. All right, so
Should have been
We
a
had to see
pocket
it
of
out.
pregnancy tests.
what?
Babies, babies,
Babies,
babies. Well, we have to watch the music video during our break. Okay. I'm telling you right now.
We can do that. He builds the real life Babyland General Hospital. In Babyland General Hospitals, the staff wear nurse uniforms and they take the role of licensed patch nurses or LPNs. They deliver babies from Mother Cabbage.
What?
The deliveries are very immersive. It's a production. When it's time to deliver a baby, the LPN stands on a stage surrounded by cabbages with baby heads in the center of them. And in front of her is Mother Cabbage. And
She's like screaming and sweating. I've been in labor for 12 hours.
yeah, Mother Cabbage is shockingly silent, but the nurse kind of narrates
She's
the whole
sedated.
thing that's going on. I watched
And
a
a
video of
cabbage.
this today, which I'll link in the show notes. It's definitely worth a watch. So she has a speculum, and first she checks that Mother Cabbage is dilated 10 leaves. Also, the whole thing is full of jokes. It's so good. Then she gives the cabbage a sonogram, and on the tree behind her, there's a magic crystal. And when she gives the sonogram, the crystal either lights up blue for boy or pink for girl. After the sex of the baby is announced, she gives the Mother Cabbage a shot of TLC and a dose of Imagicillum. And the purpose of this is to loosen up her leaves.
I want a Magicillum so bad.
You need to be loosened.
Yes.
Okay. She then instructs the crowd to take some deep breaths to help relax Mother Cabbage. And then on the count of 3, she removes the baby.
This
from
sounds
the
like a
cabbage.
fun job.
The woman in the video I saw did an amazing job, and she looked like she was having a lot of fun. It's kind of like the people who work at Disney.
I want to see this, but make it burlesque.
Oh my God. Cabbage Patch drag burlesque night.
That would go to Broadway. I can see it now.
I need somebody more talented than me to make
The
this happen.
costumes would be insane.
This is so good.
Midwife burlesque.
We have lightning in a bottle right now. Cabbage Patch midwife burlesque. Put some respect on. So this whole thing is done in front of a live audience. The adoptive parents can watch the birth, and then to adopt the baby, they have to raise their right hand and pledge their unconditional love to their new child.
And then pay $30,000.
Yeah. At first, this was a really expensive experience because the dolls were handmade.
It's a production.
It was a production. A baby back in the start of things would cost at minimum $125 up to about $1,000. And this is in the early 80s.
So that's like $1 million.
$1 million. No need to check it. That's what it was. Then in 1982, a toy company called Calico Industries licensed production rights and started mass producing Cabbage Patch Kids and selling them for an affordable price of around $30.
With the permission of this guy? What's his name again?
Xavier. He sells the rights to them.
Okay.
They're working together now. The new Cabbage Patch dolls had plastic, slightly cuter faces and soft bodies that matched the proportions of an average toddler because the original dolls were like really round. They were like pillow pets kind of.
Like cabbages?
Like cabbages. But these ones were a little skinnier. To promote the product, Cabbage Patch held these mass adoption events around the United States.
They go to PetSmart, throw some of them in a cage.
Yeah, it's like the puppy parties that they do now, like breweries and stuff. Yeah, to adopt out dogs. But these were happening at like children's museums and parks, where they're adopting out these dolls, and the press was really interested in it. They're writing articles, it's showing up on the news, and American children go rabid. That December of 1982, every child in America wants a Cabbage Patch doll.
Of course, it's an experience.
Yeah, it's you're not getting a new doll, you're adopting your baby,
your child.
That's big. I get it. Do you remember For Real Friends?
Yeah.
I had the chimpanzee and I was obsessed.
I think I had the gray cat.
Oh, a cat.
Sign.
My chimpanzee kind of looked like Safdie. And your gray cat probably looked like Ernie. We just traded.
Did. That was like a little one, a kitten, and then I had a big one that actually kind of looked like Ghost, but it had more orange fur in it, and its tail. I think its tail moved. I can't remember.
That's fun. Yeah, they were like robotic, and they could hug you. Mm-hmm. Those were so fun.
Aww.
And then I don't remember what they're called. The stuffed animals that would have babies, and you would pull the babies out of their tummies.
Oh my God! I wish I would have had that. That would have been cool. Amazing.
Yeah,
I had the pregnant Barbie, but
I didn't have that. At first, the big box stores were really reluctant to sell the toys because they were so ugly. They were like, this shit sucks. But eventually, like, the pressure of American children won, and they went to the big stores.
Are they truly ugly, though?
I think they're hideous. I hate them.
When I think of ugly, I don't think of Cabbage Patch Kids.
I do.
I'm going to look one up. I'm listening.
They're really ugly. When Cabbage Patch Kids hit the mainstream market in 1983, okay, so I guess it's 1983 that they're a big deal, not 1982. It doesn't matter. Anyway, they're an instant sensation. Calico had their factories producing 200,000 dolls a week, and even then, they were not keeping up with demand, not even close.
That's insane. Okay. They were just cranking out those crystals.
Yeah, those cabbages were tired. PETA was upset. It was a whole animal abuse situation.
They were smoking crystal to find more crystal.
By Christmas time, it became a common occurrence for thousands of people to line up at department stores that only had a couple hundred Cabbage Patch in stock.
For Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yes. Occasionally, these rushes devolved into full-blown riots. The most infamous Cabbage Patch riot occurred at the Zara department store in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Over 1,000 people camped out at the store overnight, hoping to purchase one of the 240 dolls they had in stock.
I don't think I have or ever probably will want any material thing that bad.
Yeah.
I just cannot put myself in their shoes.
Same, especially because as a child, if I wanted something, that my parents had to camp outside a Kmart for, I wouldn't be getting that thing. They didn't love me that much. And I don't blame them.
It's a good life lesson too. Like when learning, you don't always get what you want.
Sometimes you can't have the toy that year. You get it the next year when no one cares about it and it goes on sale.
Yeah, trends die.
That's right. The store opened its doors the next day, 10 minutes early at 8:50, and shoppers rushed straight toward the dolls. Almost immediately, they started brawling. People were fighting each other for the available Cabbage Patch Kids. And Alec, this makes me think of that show, the Turbo Man show.
Yeah, Jingle All the Way, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Alec had us watch that movie at Christmas because it was on a podcast, How Did This Get Made? And he and my little brother Theo still quote that movie like every day. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that is neither here nor there. Everyone's fighting.
I was thinking the same thing, if it makes you feel better.
It does. I just had to get it out. Turbo Man. Everyone's fighting. The store manager jumps on top of the checkout counter and to like save himself and get out of the tsunami of people.
Oh yeah, I would leave. I'd be like, guys, just take it.
Yeah, this is not worth my minimum wage job.
I'm not checking any of you out. Just go.
He's waving a baseball bat, like beating people away from him, screaming at them to calm the fuck down. The store's 5 security guards, because I'm sure they had extra security staff that day, but like that was not enough. They are just being pummeled.
What is wrong with people?
For a doll.
And is it like when things get this crazy, does the level of popularity rise because it's just like
it becomes more desirable. Yeah. But like my thing is, these parents must have just like really loved their child or had something to prove because not worth it.
It was a bunch of Disney dads just trying to get in with their kids.
Totally. The police had to be called to attempt some crowd control. Of the scene, Time reported, quote, "A woman was knocked to the floor while trying to hang onto a doll being snatched from her hands by an unidentified man who fled out the door. Police said bystanders grabbed the doll from the man as he was fleeing from the store. The suspect was not apprehended." In all, 5 people had to be hospitalized after the event, one of which suffered 3 broken ribs and a broken leg.
Take them to Babyland.
That would be so funny if there was like a pop-up Cabbage Patch hospital outside the Walmart.
Let Mama Cabbage give you a kiss.
It's unclear exactly why the dolls were in such high demand. I mean, like, they were a cool toy. Like, a big part of the appeal was, like, the adoption process and the birth certificate. And also, like, you already kind of brought up, is that supply and demand, like, they appeared desirable and scarce, and therefore people wanted them that much more. Back to the adoption process, though, remember, the doll's design... The adoption process, like the very selling point, was ripped off and stolen from Martha Nelson's and her doll babies.
Yeah, I was wondering how she felt about all of this.
She was upset, obviously.
The OG Mama Cabbage.
Yeah. She sued Xavier for $1 million. And
not enough.
Not enough.
I would have sued him for $1 billion.
I would have sued him for half the company. Fuck that.
All of it.
But like... What I don't understand, they settled outside of court, which means she probably got under $1 million if he was willing to settle and not go to court, which that's crazy to me. Maybe it was
just under $1 million because you don't have to pay the lawyer's fees and all of that on top of the $1 million that she was suing for. So
and maybe
she still could have got $1 million.
Yeah. And maybe he wanted to avoid the press or maybe salvage their relationship. So they did it behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Nobody knows how much they settled on. I hope that Martha got enough to last her the rest of her life because it really was all her idea. Xavier was just the marketing behind all of it, which that's valuable too, but it was her idea.
Yeah. It would have never happened without her. And he should have brought her in from the beginning. Like, hey, you don't have to do anything, but I'll give you 10% of profits if I can use your idea and market and try and grow this.
Yeah. And I think probably a big part of it was she didn't appear interested in the business side of things. Like when he wanted to keep buying the dolls from her, she declined. So maybe he thought she just didn't care and everything got too big too fast.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm glad she got something though. Over the years, Cabbage Patch Kids have been handed onto a number of different production companies, including Hasbro, Mattel, and Toys R Us. Behind the scenes, though, Xavier Roberts is still pulling the strings, and Babyland General Hospital is still very much open and operating in Cleveland, Georgia. You can still go, and there's YouTube videos that you can watch of them, like, birthing the babies.
I want to go, and we must pitch them Drag Burlesque Baby Hospital.
The feeling I got from this guy and from these videos is I don't know if they're so much interested in
may not be up for that.
Drag burlesque, but maybe. I mean, this is Cleveland, Georgia we're talking about, but who knows? I don't want to pigeonhole or stereotype anyone.
We can make it our own thing.
Yeah. Today, you can buy a new Cabbage Patch Baby for about $25 or a Cabbage Patch Kid for about $45. And vintage dolls that are still in good condition can sometimes sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars.
I can't wait to find something that I've been holding on to since childhood and go to eBay and realize that it's worth thousands. Do you think you have anything that could be worth money either now or in the future?
No, because I always opened and played with my toys. I never like kept anything in the box.
Yeah, nothing is pristine. I don't think I really have anything either.
Yeah.
I have all my Pokemon cards.
Oh, yeah. That'll be your moneymaker.
Yeah.
And I had a Cabbage Patch doll.
Yeah. You did. Did Cam have like a bunch of them?
Yeah, she had a whole family of them.
Yeah, she's like right in that perfect age spot. My mom had them too. And she was like, not that my mom and Cam are anywhere near the same age, but it was like 80s through 90s that these were a big deal. Let's see. So vintage dolls can be expensive. My favorite vintage doll is Snack Time Kid. And this Cabbage Patch doll first sold in 1995. This one, if you have one of these, even if it's not in good condition, you can get a few $100s for it on eBay because this doll had teeth and a working jaw. And if you put anything in its mouth, it chews.
That's the one that can like bite through a carrot or was discontinued, right? Or was that a different one?
I don't know if it can bite through a carrot, but it chews and it doesn't stop biting until the thing is either taken out of its mouth or it swallows it. Like it will like swallow it with a motor and it goes down its throat.
And it poops it out?
I don't know how it comes out, but it's dangerous because it won't stop biting as long as there's something in it. And kids' hair started getting caught in the motor and the mouth. Their fingers were getting bitten. So hundreds and hundreds of complaints came in about the doll hurting children. The doll was discontinued and refunds were given to 500,000 people.
Oh my goodness. Who had the idea? They were like, just let it keep chomping. Do not stop under any circumstance.
Yeah, I don't know why. And I can't imagine it bit very hard, but like if you probably got back in there far enough to the motor, I'm sure it could cause some damage. There were 200,000 dolls that hadn't sold at the time of discontinuement, and those were destroyed, so they would never end up in the wrong hands.
They were used as torture devices.
Yeah.
It went on to become the Great Ocean Patch of the Pacific, the Garbage Patch.
Exactly. The Cabbage Patch is the reason
The
for
Cabbage
microplastic.
Patch Reef.
The floating barge. Anyway, that is my lesson on Cabbage Patch Kids.
Bravo.
Oh, thank you.
That was so fun.
Yeah.
Going down memory lane. I don't think they're ugly. I'll say it.
Really?
I think they are kind of cute. Some of them have too much hair.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the hair, the lack of teeth, the butts. I just don't care for them.
I don't like it. They have dimples
Yeah.
for days.
Big dimples.
Did the Garbage Pail Kids ever come up in your research?
The Garbage Pail Kids actually got sued by Cabbage Patch because they resemble them too much.
Look at this little cow Cabbage Patch.
Oh,
It's cute.
I do not like it.
Yeah, the Garbage Pail Kids is also a How Did This Get Made movie.
Katya.
I like that one.
It's drag Cabbage Patch.
They have the perfect faces for drag because there's so much like blank skin because their eyes and nose are so small.
You have a property
a
to
big
work
canvas.
That's so good.
It's like lip sync for your life. And it's just the snacking ones like chomping on carrots.
Wait, that would be a really funny TikTok.
We have to get our hands on one of the snack ones. Okay, Patreon this month is going towards that. Join us at patreon.com/nightclass to make our dreams come true. And we'll be right back.
Hey everybody, this is producer Alec, and I'm here to pitch my podcast, also by Parasaur Studios, called Matchbook Flashback. So if you are looking in your podcast app right now, search Matchbook Flashback and go ahead and follow or subscribe on Apple or Spotify and check it out because... What were you going to say, Kat?
Oh, I was just waiting for the cue to chime in. I didn't want to miss it. But I was just going to say that I listened to the episode this week. It was like a Sasquatch story, but I thought the best part of the story was like all this other like creepy shit in the woods that also went down, and the dad like had an out-of-body experience around like a fire pit and found like a baby's hand. It was just like a very creepy story. First-hand accounts, highly recommend it.
Yeah, this week's encounter is pretty creepy. Last week's episode was about a guy that died in a Dairy Queen from poisoning, and that one was really interesting in a totally different way. So if you're interested in unusual phenomenon, it's me interviewing people that had firsthand experiences, and it's them telling their stories. So if that sounds like it's up your alley and you might enjoy it, check that out at Matchbook Flashback. That's the pod. Go follow, give us 5 stars. We're a new pod, and I appreciate your support, night classmates. Bye.
Welcome back. This will be a long lesson.
Should I get another White Claw? I have half of one left.
Sure. I mean, you're just gonna be sitting back and
I'll go get it.
relaxing.
Maybe Alec could go get it for me. I looked over him.
What were you going to do,
I'll
Alec?
get it. I wanted you to volunteer
Snap,
before I
snap.
looked at you, but it's okay.
So we'll see what happens. Maybe it's one part, maybe it's two. But nonetheless, according to almost every source that I read on this subject matter, Jack Parsons was written out of NASA's history. Maybe it was his academic difficulties. Maybe it was because of his interest in the occult. Maybe
Probably that.
it was his close relationship and friendship with Aleister Crowley.
Oh, hell yeah.
Maybe it was the sex cult. We are going to learn about his life today, and you can decide for yourself.
How dare you
What?
drag Aleister Crowley's name through the mud?
I'm not dragging it through the mud. I didn't write him out of history. I'm writing him into history right now by doing this podcast.
Okay.
You just got lawyered.
You just wanted to call him a sex cultist. But that's okay. He kind of was.
That's what he was. I'm just saying,
Ceremonial magic, Hayley. There's a difference.
sex magic. We'll get to it.
Oh, yeah.
Jack was born Marvel Whiteside Parsons. That was his name, but they called him Jack
Marvel?
Marvel.
Wow.
Yeah. He founded the Marvel Universe too, guys. Born on October 2nd, 1914 in Los Angeles, California. His parents' marriage, though, quickly dissolved shortly after his birth when his mother discovered that his father, also Marvel Sr., had been spending a lot of time with his favorite sex worker. So his mom, Ruth, files for divorce in March 1915. What were you going to say, Kat?
Oh, no, I was just confused, but I figured it out.
Okay, yeah.
I thought she was mad that her husband was seeing too much of her son's favorite sex worker. I was like, wow.
Which is also his mom.
That's bizarre. Yeah.
So she files for divorce. Marvel, his dad, was disgraced and forbidden from seeing his son, and he moves back to Massachusetts. So mom is left in LA with this new baby. Her parents move to Los Angeles, and they buy this family home on Millionaire's Mile, where Jack, his mother, and his grandparents all live together and are doted on at any time by multiple servants.
It's like Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, except for if the grandparents actually got along with the mom.
That's true.
But they do financially bankroll their lives, for sure.
Okay.
Jack's childhood is described as isolated, as he was the only child, but he passed all of his time reading works of mythology and science fiction, resulting in his interest in rocketry. At 12 years old, Jack started junior high school. He was by no means a star student. He really struggled academically, and it's suspected that he suffered from undiagnosed dyslexia. But besides academics, he was also struggling socially. He was actually bullied for being upper class.
Okay. I feel so bad for him.
And his perceived effeminacy. Despite all of this, he did end up making one very good friend who stood up to his bullies and also shared Jack's interest in all things science fiction and rocketry.
How do you stand up to a bully bullying you for being rich?
His friend Edward was his name, they were like on the opposite ends of the financial spectrum.
Aww.
He was he grew up in a low income household. So I don't know if that gave him some like perspective on the matter.
Or some like leverage. Like,
yeah, like
I'm not rich and I think he's
and
cool.
I'm hanging out with him. I'm not sure, but it worked. They became really good friends, such good friends. They even had their own motto that they would say to each other. In Latin, it was "Paraspera ad Astrata," meaning through hardship to the stars.
That is adorable.
We need our own motto.
Yeah, if my kid isn't the kind of kid making up Latin mottos with their friend,
oh yeah,
I don't want them.
As soon as my kids know their numbers, we're getting right into numerology. Together, they experimented with homemade gunpowder-based rocket experiments all around town and in Jack's backyard and garden, which ended up leaving it peppered with small craters. Jack and Edward experimented with materials for efficiency, such as glue for stability and aluminum foil for casting gunpowder. Around this time, Jack's interest also broadened into the occult. At one time, he held a ritual attempting to call the devil into his bedroom. It's really seeming like all or nothing with this guy. But then he got scared and took a little break from occult activities.
It was the best to scare yourself as a kid with shit like that.
I could do it so easily.
It's so easy. Yeah, I could. Bloody Mary is still too scary for me.
Even as an adult, this happened 3 weeks ago. I turned the lights out and ran to bed because I couldn't see because it was dark, and it was like something could come out.
Devil's gonna get ya.
The 2 seconds gave me. Yeah, I'm not ready to get got. Once I'm done, I don't know. Because we have talked about how our retirement plan is death. Mm-hmm. Let me get 3 months of retirement, and then I think I'll be ready.
Yeah,
to go.
I could afford about 2 weeks of retirement right now. So give me 2 weeks.
I can get a lot done in 2 weeks. In high school, Jack continued to do poorly academically, resulting in his stint in military school, but he was kicked out shortly after he blew up the toilets.
What?
Yeah, he just is like a pyromaniac. Okay. And yeah, no, he literally blew up the toilets with explosives.
Chipotle.
I wasn't sure.
And he got diagnosed with IBS. Bad turned to worse as the Great Depression loomed and Jack's grandfather died in 1931. Through it all, Jack still had his good friend Edward to experiment rocketry with. Jack attended university school where he focused on chemistry and worked weekends and holidays at the Hercules Powder Company. Yes, more on that in a moment.
Okay.
This is because most of their family fortune had been drained by the Great Depression. And this is where Jack learned more about explosives and how they could be used in rocketry. Him and Edward, quote unquote, borrowed some chemicals from the powder company, and together with the help of various scientists they constructed a solid fuel rocket engine.
Wow.
No idea what that even means. Personally, I did not focus on the rocketry of it all. There's so much more to this story, but this is mostly going to be about personal drama.
Thank God.
We're not talking.
I don't know if I could sit through a lesson on rocket engineering.
I could barely read it. I mean, there were paragraphs on Wikipedia that I was just like, skip.
Isn't that the worst when the Wikipedia page is like 8 miles long?
So detailed.
And you have to read through all the boring stuff to find the cults.
It's a love-hate, but we get to the cults, don't worry. So he's straddled with financial stress. Jack drops out after one term at Pasadena Junior College and went to work full-time at the powder company. Although he made a pretty good monthly wage of $100, he was afflicted by headaches due to the nitroglycerin, which would follow him throughout his life. But he did save enough money to complete one semester at Stanford University, but that was still not enough. He dropped out again and returned to California. Edward and Jack, the dynamic duo, sought out help with rocketry and attended a lecture put on by Austrian rocket engineer Egon Sanger. And although he wasn't much help, he did introduce them to a PhD student, Frank Molina, and the duo became a trio. The men got along well, and they applied for funding from Caltech together, but they had to leave out the fact that they wanted the funding for rocketry experiments for exploration in space.
They left that part out? What did they think they wanted rockets for?
Well, rockets could be used in war.
Oh, forgot about that.
Yes. And the reason why is because at the time, rocket science and using rockets in space was a thing of science fiction. Scientists looked down upon it and thought it was foolish and was never going to be possible. So they left that out. Eventually, they were approved by Frank's advisor and formed the Guggenheim Aeronautical Laboratory Rocket Research Group, which opened them up to Caltech's equipment, but no money because this is the Great Depression. Jack continued to work shifts at the powder company, and long story short, for years, the trio experimented, argued, failed, tried and tried again, blah, 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 blah. They all shared socialist ideologies, and when they weren't in the lab, they could be found smoking and drinking and writing their screenplay that had anti-capitalist and pacifist themes.
Wow. I want to hang out with, I don't want to build a rocket, but I would like hang out and watch them build a rocket.
I would hang out with them. Yeah. In the early years for sure. I think things start to devolve. So I would hang out with him in college.
Okay.
I think that's the best time to hang out with people of the likes of Jack Parsons.
Well, the crazy is still fun.
Yeah.
And not sad.
Not scary. Yeah. Jack's social life expanded when he met Helen Northup at a church dance in 1934.
He's going to church?
He's going to church, baby.
Wow. They
were married the next year, and Jack took a higher paying job at the Halifax Powder Company. But unfortunately for Helen, her new stud, Jack, he was putting all of his extra money and time back into the rocket research group. So he wasn't around a ton, and they weren't living lavishly by any means. He even made extra money by manufacturing nitroglycerin at home on his front porch.
Good idea.
And then selling it.
Should have at least done the back porch.
I think there's something classic about having a lab of some sort on your front porch. It's like, don't mess with me. It's a security system.
Is it?
And it works on multiple levels. Yeah, I think it is, because you have the psychological factor of like, I'm that bitch. I am creating chemicals, mixing chemicals on my front porch.
Yeah, definitely no one wants to talk to you.
And that's the dream.
That's so true. You're so right.
That's the dream. Did I tell you my mailman gave me his number?
What? Why are people always trying to fraternize with
contact with me. I
Why?
gave him my Google Voice number because I was out doing I was sanding down some furniture, and he was like, I need help. I have this old cherry dining room table,
Sir,
and I don't know what to do.
YouTube exists. YouTube
So I
exists.
said, I'll give you my Google Voice number. Send me a picture, and I think you would just need to wax it and oil it. I think you just buff it.
That's weird.
Yeah, but
Okay.
if I had a chemical lab on my front porch,
You would
probably
never
wouldn't
have
be
said
so
anything.
interested. I probably wouldn't get all my Amazon packages, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. There's never enough money for rocket science, though. Jack also ended up pawning Helen's engagement ring
Oh shit.
and often asked her family for loans. How pissed would you be?
Loans for the backyard rocket company.
Sir.
Yeah.
On one hand, though, I'm like, Jeff Bezos' wife made a ton of money in their divorce because she supported him and helped him with Amazon. I'd be like, you know what? Pawn the ring.
Sometimes I do think about the women behind men like Jeff Bezos and all the other Silicon Valley types that are desperately trying to make the next big startup. And for every one success story, there's probably 8,000 men who just
Or shitty.
were shitty,
didn't
spent
work.
all
Yeah.
their time in their garage not making money, just trying to make something work and
for what?
for what?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad we
you're
have
right.
the internet and iPhones and everything, but someone needs to stop supporting these men.
I saw a TikTok of a woman who was an electrician, and she was like, when I first started this job, I was like, oh, I don't know, it seems kind of hard. But then I was like, men do it.
Yeah.
How hard could it be? Men do it.
I love that trend. I saw a neurosurgeon do it.
So
It
good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on here. So he needs money. He's getting it one way or another. Along the way, Caltech mathematician, which what even are mathematicians?
They're magicians, but for math, I guess.
That's so fun. Magicians.
As I open my other White Claw. Listen, it's been a long day.
You see,
magician
they're
of
like
math.
magicians.
So to follow that up, there's a name that I did look up the pronunciation for. Let's see how I do. Chion Chusen. We're going to take it. He was the math magician and a Caltech lab assistant, Weld Arnold, who was the group's official photographer.
Sir, you're spending all your wife's money on a photographer.
Well, I think the photographer kind of finagled his way into the group because he was only admitted after procuring a donation to the group from an anonymous benefactor.
Okay, so he's paying to work for them.
Yeah, he wants to be in with the cool kids.
If any photographer wants to pay to just follow me around,
you're
allowed.
Starting wage is $20,000 a year each, so 60 total.
Yeah.
Thanks to the dangerous nature of the work, the group's nickname was Suicide Squad, which garnered attention from the local news. Jack also got 15 extra minutes of fame when he appeared in court as an explosives witness, or an explosives expert, rather, during the trial of Captain Earl Kennett, who was accused of conspiring to set a car bomb in the attempted murder of private investigator Harry Raymond, a former LAPD detective who was fired after whistleblowing against police corruption.
Hell yeah.
So Jack
him down.
Jack had no connection to the case, but he knew about explosives. So he was all up in there talking about it. In his testimony, Jack recreated the car bomb and its explosion. I would have loved that. That is the day I would love to be on the jury.
Oh my God.
Alec, can you look up a picture of Jack Parsons? This picture of him with the car bomb will be one of the first ones. And let me just say,
Was he proud of his car bomb?
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
I
sure
think he's pretty attractive.
I'm picturing an attractive man.
Yeah, you have to be. I feel like
He
either
sounds
there it is.
amazing.
Boom.
Oh yeah, he's so cute.
He's handsome.
Wow.
Look at his brows.
Yeah, I would have supported that man on his like crazy scheme.
I'm like, hold on, I need to take a break.
Look at his hair.
I know. Just
Damn.
I like him a lot. Not everything about him is great, but just
some
looking at
things
him,
are.
I'm like getting hot. So he testifies in his testimony. He recreates the explosion, and Earl was convicted largely based on Jack's testimony, which only solidified his experience or expertise as a rocket scientist in the public's eye.
And I love that like this man never graduated college, and the police are like, the court is like, who can we use for an expert witness? Oh, this guy who makes bombs in his front porch.
He's brewing nitroglycerin on his front porch. Probably just wearing an apron. That's probably all. The group continued their experiments and were even permitted to work on campus of Caltech, but that changed after a few mishaps. In one instance, they ruined the lawn in front of the chemistry lab by, quote, accidentally siphoning too much nitrogen tetroxide, a highly corrosive liquid, which turned the lawn brown and was just generally dangerous for everyone around. One of the rocket apparatuses also leaked a toxic cloud of nitrogen tetroxide and alcohol that rusted scientific equipment throughout the entire building.
Okay.
So that was not great. They had to spend like the entire week getting all the rust off of the equipment.
That was the best week ever for those students.
Oh yeah,
One
they
time,
got off work.
One time there was a chemistry spill in my college lab, so I didn't have to go to my chem class that day. And it was the best day ever. I can only imagine a whole week.
A whole week up. That's what we just had.
I
with
know.
all of this.
It wasn't the same because I'd rather go be a teacher than go to Chem 142.
Yeah, I'm so
lab.
glad I never had to do chemistry after high school.
Yeah, it's not fun.
I would
for
not
me.
survive. But I got really close with my chem teacher because I had to go during lunch so that I wouldn't fail. Their operation was moved off campus, and Jack's life took a turn. In 1939, he and his wife Helen accepted an invitation from some of their friends to attend a mass at the Church of Thelema in Los Angeles. Quick rundown of Church of Thelema. I'm not going to take you through all their tenets and whatnot. The founder, also called the outer head of the Ordo Templi Orientis, was Aleister Crowley.
The Church of Thelema, I believe, is what I attended when I went and got to witness a service.
That makes sense. So this was that back in like the 1930s.
Because then Crawley split from them, right? Or they split from, I don't remember.
Yeah, there was a bunch of drama.
Yeah.
We'll touch on some of it. They did change their name though, like in 1941.
Okay.
So, but maybe
this was an
branch off.
offshoot, yeah, that like went back to the OG name or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I threw away the piece of paper they gave me.
You're a terrible recruit.
They did not recruit me. It was interesting to watch, but
Was
I'm
it
not a
sex
convert.
magic?
Let's just say that. No, it was not sex magic. It was very tame. It was more like Catholic mass than anything else.
Okay, interesting. So they go to this mass, and Jack, this is a quote from him. He felt a mix of repulsion and attraction for leading member Wilfred Talbot Smith. And they started attending more and more gatherings at this church throughout the year. He delved into Aleister Crowley's works and felt the reality of thematic magic was a force that could be explained through quantum physics, which I see a truth in. I think that I believe in science, and I think that in one way or another, everything probably can be explained.
Yeah, it builds
We're just-
energy.
Yeah.
And going back to, because I did attend a church service for an offshoot of this, and it was sex magic, but not in the way that people are probably thinking. It was like highly ritualized, fully clothed, and there was like a priest and a priestess, and basically like following a script and building sexual tension to raise energy, but like it was all very tame and very like formal, if that makes sense. And then they would like essentially build sexual energy and then insert that sexual energy into a wafer that you can then eat and absorb that energy and do what you want with it, was the whole point. And so I imagine what I saw was a very tame, scripted, fully clothed ritual. But I imagine if you're actually getting down and dirty, you'd build even more energy. Oh, that would be even more useful.
Yeah, that sounds like this group. They are, from what I've seen in the research, very pro sex and exploration, comfortable with multiple partners. And that's not like the main thing of them. That's just one of their beliefs that they practice or did practice. I don't really know what's going on with him now, but I do know that he got super interested in it. He proselytized his newfound religion, and most of it fell upon deaf ears. But a few of his friends were interested and started attending church with them, including his wife, Helen's sister. Her name was Sarah Betty Northrup. Jack and Helen were initiated into the Agape Lodge. This was their new name. Agape. Agape. Agape Lodge. In 1941, the couple adopted, I don't want to say christened names, but they had their like alter ego names. Jack was Frater and Helen was Sor Grumad. Jack climbed the ranks and captured the attention of Aleister Crowley. They started writing each other back and forth.
Pen pals.
Oh yeah, pen pals, wannabe lovers, I feel like. Crowley seriously considered Jack as a possible replacement for him as the outer head of the order. Yeah, he was super into him. The long story short, on the rocket science side of things, while all of this is going on,
boring.
I know. It's one sentence. They had success.
Oh, good.
You don't need to know the details. And Jack found his pockets aligned with cash. You may think, finally, he can invest in a nice, comfortable life with his wife.
No, he's going to make it rain on that order of the Lema.
Yeah, all of his extra money went directly to Aleister Crowley.
That's fucking right.
In fact, Crowley depended on Jack's money to live. He also spent a lot of time traveling the US for rocket science stuff, and while he did that, he was recruiting new members to the church. Helen, his wife, was tired of it, and after a while, she left. While the wife's away, Jack will play with his sister-in-law.
Okay, at least it's not his real sister.
Who's 17 years old.
Oh, no. Never mind.
This is no Christian church. They had sexually permissive attitudes, which only egged Jack on. So he's getting with his 17-year-old sister-in-law. When Helen returned home, she found her teenage sister and Jack had shacked up together. And
Can you imagine?
No. No.
Did she murder that man? Because that's what I would have done.
She took such a high road that I wonder about her sanity.
Okay.
Actually, no, it's not the high road. Petty high road. Okay, so here's what happened. So Helen, the wife, walks in and she's like, oh, what the fuck is this? And her sister's like, he's my husband now. She says that. They're like, we're husband and wife. They're not actually, but okay. And Jack even tells Helen, he's like, you know, I do think your sister is more attractive than you. So that was the end of their relationship.
Yeah, I'll say.
But don't feel too bad for Helen because she rebounded really quick. She got with one of the leaders of the church, the same one that Jack had felt the repulsion and attraction for.
Okay.
And it all actually worked out fine. Her and that guy had a kid and stayed together forever, and the four of them remained friends. So close of friends that they all moved in together.
No.
They also invited other Thelemites to live with them, as well as their children.
Okay.
So Jack made his commune house into a home. He started decorating his room with swords and daggers.
Live, laugh, love.
And he converted the garage and laundry room into his home laboratory. While adult church members often met in their kitchen, children were entertained with fairy hunts on their 25 acres of
That's
land.
fun.
I loved that. Jack was balancing his rocket science company, church recruitment, the commune, multiple sex partners, and partying. And at this point, he was not balancing them too well. He often showed up to work hungover, and he had started using cocaine.
He has an active social life.
What are you gonna do?
Work-life balance.
There's no balance. So, like when you get cocaine, amphetamines, peyote,
obviously this is a
mescaline,
joke.
opiates.
we want the work-life balance without the extra,
Without the hard drugs. Yeah. Although he probably saved a lot of money, but he just like made them all himself.
That's
right?
true.
His
And then
home
it's
lab.
safe.
Yeah, you're not getting
Rather
anything
you drink
laced.
at home than go do something crazy.
Around this time, the lodge also came under local and federal investigations following reports of black magic and sexual orgies. There was an account of from the neighbors of naked pregnant women jumping through fire, which may or may not be true. Like that may actually be true.
It probably was actually
Probably
true.
was true.
It's like it's rocket science.
And more seriously, I'm about to, I just want to give a trigger warning for rape and sexual assault. There was a report from a 16-year-old who said that he was raped by lodge members. Neither agency found any evidence of these reports, but
That doesn't mean shit.
Yeah, I don't trust that just because they say it didn't happen. That
Do
it
you
didn't
think
happen.
the police are going to do anything about that?
No. I think the police are scared of pregnant women.
They're
jumping
scared of
through
the
fire.
they're
not
scared
gonna
of the demonic sex cult.
They're gonna say we saw nothing.
Yeah, that's fucked.
So it was.
Was he a child of someone in the organization?
I couldn't find any more information
Okay.
about it. There may be some out there, but in none of the sources I saw, we got any more information. Neither agency found any evidence, but the friction in the Agape Lounge was undeniable. Aleister Crowley and other members wanted to remove one of the leaders, Smith, as their head honcho. Can you guess who he wanted to appoint as the new head?
I wish I could remember his name.
Jack. Yeah. The hottie with the mustache.
Yeah.
The Rocket Man. But Jack was like, no, let Smith stay. And Crowley reconsidered it. He actually ended up conducting an astrological analysis of Smith's birth chart and discovered that he was actually the incarnation of a god.
Oh, wow. What an
so he got to
amazing
stay.
revelation.
Yeah, it worked out really well. The friction dissipated on that one.
Great. Thank God.
It could have been big trouble. World War II was lucrative for Jack's rocket business, now called Jet Propulsion Lab. The Navy was ordering 20,000 rockets a month, which
a lot of rockets.
is just a lot of money.
Yeah.
Business was good, but relationships in it were not. The other guys wanted Jack out. And that's for a few reasons. To start, they viewed his occult interests as disreputable. And that does make sense to me. I can see why they felt that way with them being scientists and him believing in magic, and they're not crossing that bridge where I think that they really do meet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a weird like you wouldn't expect a scientist to be so
he's taking
into the
work-life
occult.
balance too seriously,
Yeah.
where it's like outside his personal life is so far one way and his work life is so far the
Yeah.
other way. The two
Why-
don't usually combine.
Why do they care what he does in his free time other than that he comes to work strung out? I guess that's probably a good enough reason. But
That's a good enough reason, but also it's like it's his reputation.
Yeah, that's true.
They're on the front line of rocket science,
But
and
they're
he's out here having a sex
jeopardizing it.
cult in
Yeah.
his commune, and they're like, do we really want to be associated?
But he's like, listen, I worked so hard to be allowed to have my sex cult. I worked my way up from the bottom.
I summoned the
rocket
devil
company
into my room.
funds my sex cult.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other.
Some reports also say his level of caution was not keeping up with their business. He still wanted to work in the same way he'd done in his backyard, and a very instinctive nature without regard for safety.
Just cooking without a recipe, making the chemicals from scratch.
make it go boom, baby.
Yeah.
Jack was convinced to cash out, actually, and he sold his stock in the company, leaving him with an $11,000 payday.
What? That's it?
I know.
They were selling 20,000 rockets a month.
Per month. Yeah,
He got
the Navy
11 grand.
Absolutely, swindled
Ripped him
them.
the fuck off.
They ripped him off.
$11,000.
Less than Cabbage Patch money.
That's not even like enough money
Hey,
to buy
it's $190,000 now, though.
not worth it.
I know. I would expect at least $1 million.
That's like a small house outside of a mid-sized city.
Well, that's what he did. He bought his commune property and he named it. He named it the Parsonage after himself because his last name is Parson.
That's
worth it, right? Let's give it up for the $11,000 payday.
I cannot believe
I know. Like
that the
but
man
also-
that invented rockets
he
got
I don't know if he
11.
invented rock.
I'm saying he did. He got
He
$11,000.
was shamed.
That's like that. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm saying it's not a lot of money, but it's not a lot of.
It's not
in the
as
grand
much as
scheme
you
of things.
expect.
If I have like the most successful rocket engineering company in the world, guess what? I'm not going to sell it for $11,000.
Okay, so how much would you sell it for?
Like
Because when you think about it, he sold his stock, so that is what it was
that
worth.
is the
that is the worth of it.
I guess, but
What would you?
if I'm selling, what did you say? 2,000 rockets, 20,000 rockets,
20,000
20,000. How much does a rocket cost?
2 cents.
Apparently, if I'm selling 20,000 rockets a month, I'm selling my company for no less than like $60 million. Are you kidding me?
When you go on tangents like this, it makes me think maybe I should have done more research on the rocket side.
From what it sounds like, this is a ripoff.
You would have been so logged off if I would have.
I know,
that we
I would
wouldn't have
not
even
care.
gotten this tangent.
I'm just hung up on the money, I think.
as usual. I mean, me too. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong.
Who doesn't get hung up on money every now and then? $11,000. If you gave me $11,000 today, that wouldn't even begin to pay off all my debt, let alone do anything fun.
Yeah, the thing about me is that I have pretty much convinced myself to stop worrying about money at all.
Yeah, that's
Because I feel
nice
like
for
it's
you.
so hopeless that like
that's
I'm
true.
not, that like I'm not worried
Yeah.
about having the perfect credit score. I'm not worried about having a ton in savings. I'm not
It is useless to worry about money because it's
everything's
not
so
going to make
fucked.
it better.
Yeah, our wages are so low. Everything costs so much.
Yeah, it's crazy how just expensive everything
live.
is. I told
To live.
Alec I'm a Republican now. Just kidding. But when I looked at how much money I paid in taxes this year, I was really sad.
Have you done your tax refund yet?
No. And also, like, don't come at me. I know that, like, Republicans would actually probably tax me more, and it's tax cuts for the rich that they want, which is why I'm not one. But
Like,
I will
it's
say,
true.
maybe I'm a libertarian.
As you get older,
It hurts.
It wouldn't be such an issue if the way we spent taxes was appropriate
Yes,
for
exactly.
our needs. I would have no issue.
I am happy to pay taxes, but I'm sad about where they're going. And I just want more money. Bottom line. Period. Point
That's
blank,
it.
period. Give me back my money.
Give it to me. How much do you like? Do you have to? Okay, let me put this in a way that is hypothetical.
Okay.
Hypothetically, if I had a side gig on top of my 9-to-5 job where I made extra money, hypothetically, and it's like, you know, a little bit, it's like a little chunk, a little something extra each month, hypothetically.
Do you have like a source of income that I don't know about? Are you?
No, you know about it. You know about it. Use your brain.
hypothetical?
No. Use your brain. Use your brain. It's a hypothetical for the podcast, but like, do I have to claim that on my taxes?
I don't know. What
I mean,
you're
I
talking
will.
about. I mean, I'm pretty sure you don't. I don't think the IRS cares about you
Like,
unless you're
how
making
much
a decent amount of money.
do you like? How can I fly under the radar? Like, I'm gonna fill up my taxes for my 9-to-5, but like, you know, little 1099 action. Like, do I have to?
Oh, I see what you mean.
How
I wouldn't,
will it
because
come and bite me in
if
the
the
ass
IRS
hard?
eventually comes after you, you're gonna owe them like a
Hypothetically.
few $100s. Probably worth the risk. Hypothetically.
Hypothetically. I would never commit tax fraud.
No, not on purpose.
Just doing it on the record.
For the record, I fill out my taxes. I get it checked. I'm like Santa. I'm checking it once. I'm checking it twice.
This
I'm
is
gonna make
literally
sure
a
my
joke, you
refund is
guys.
nice.
Yeah. It's so a joke. and she's not talking about night classy, by the way.
No, I'm not. We don't
We're
do
not
anything
cheating
about
out
taxes.
on the night classy taxes.
We don't do
with
any
her
night
like
classy
$5. No, just kidding. We make there's slightly more Patreons than one. But
yeah.
thank you, everyone who
I'm not
donates,
talking
by
about
the way.
night classy. I know taxes are hard. I'm gonna have to go on like DuckDuckGo and be like, what is the max amount you can not report?
I mean, I used to like walk for Rover and also do Uber Eats, and I don't think I ever reported any of that. So
Hypothetically,
I haven't been subpoenaed yet.
okay. Well, before I get myself into some real trouble, we're at an hour and a half, and I have one more paragraph left in the first half.
Oh.
So I'm feeling like
This
I should
is a
probably
two-parter.
split it into
Yeah.
two. Hey, my research
I
is
still have
done
to shower
for next week.
That is a good feeling.
So this will be a two-parter. Let me just say, we are just heating up. So Jack garnered even more attention locally when he placed ads in the newspaper to rent out rooms at the parsonage, his home, his commune. But it was only for bohemians, artists, musicians, atheists, anarchists, or any other exotic types.
Well, I'm going to start not being friends with anyone who doesn't fit into that list.
It's a perfect list.
No one who doesn't fit into that list is allowed anywhere near me.
And he specified, he said, any mundane soul will be unceremoniously rejected.
Amazing.
That is poetry.
I'm getting that tattooed on my body.
If I were a Cabbage Patch Kid, that would be on my ass. And if I were still on Tinder, it would be in my bio. That's it.
Yeah.
This attracted science fiction writer and U.S. Navy officer L. Ron Hubbard.
Yes, ma'am.
Yup, the guy who would go on to find the Church of Scientology. Him and Jack became the best of friends. Jack was inspired by his understanding of magic and felt he was the most thelemic person he had ever met.
This is so funny because when I was hanging out with the Order of Thelema guys after the service, they were ranting about exactly this and talking about how Elon Hubbard stole their boat. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
L. Ron Hubbard.
We'll get to that in part two. Oh, we will talk about it.
I am personally connected.
It's lore. You heard the lore. Okay, so last sentence here. L. Ron Hubbard and Jack became Eskimo brothers.
Aw.
When Jack's quote unquote wife, sister-in-law, 17-year-old Sarah fell in love with L. Ron Hubbard, making Jack extremely jealous. In part 2, we'll talk about how he channeled his strong feelings of jealousy and finish out the rest of his life.
Oh, I'm excited to hear.
I'm excited
this.
too.
I love
this was fun. I'm glad you like it. And are you familiar with it?
I'm familiar with it in the sense that like I've heard bits and pieces.
Okay.
But I feel like everything with Aleister Crowley and like everything is just so complicated and so much happened that I can never fully recall like everything.
Okay, good. Yeah. Well, tune in next week. And if you don't, you will be unceremoniously rejected. Okay, we love you. 3, 2, 1.
Bye. Class
dismissed. You forgot. What were you about to say?
Bye.
Bye. Okay, bye.